Hi, I'm Jeff Knox, and here are the tips you need to know to negotiate the best price on that next home. So when we talk about negotiating a home, price is obviously the first thing that comes to mind. However, to get the very best deal, you need to do some homework and know the fair market value from the very beginning. So in order to get the fair market value, you need to know Texas is what's called a non-disclosure state. And that means that sale prices are only reported to the local MLS board. You'll need an agent to pull those comps for you. So any negotiation begins with an initial offer. And throwing out a number or an offer with no rhyme or reason is going to do two things that are prohibitive to you buying the house. One, it's going to alienate the seller. Sellers have done the homework and they have a good idea of fair market value of their house. Second thing is, without having done any homework, it's going to put you in a terrible position of negotiating with the seller, right? When the seller finds out that you're pretty uneducated on the market value of their property and you've simply thrown a number out there with an offer, you're going to lose any sort of leverage in all respect from the seller. So when you present the type of offer that shows that you are educated, the reason why you're making that offer, and that you've done the homework on fair market value, you will leverage your position in the eyes of the seller as somebody they want to deal with, somebody who's respectful of their property, and somebody that they can continue negotiating with and feel good about giving you a discount. So the only thing a lowball offer will do without doing any homework is alienate the seller and most likely kill the deal. You need to know that before you just throw out a number and say, let's see if it works. Also try and find out what the needs and wants of the seller are. They'll all have needs and wants. Like, I'll give you an example that comes up all the time. So let's say that you're closing the house and the seller needs to stay in the house an extra 5 days to a week to maybe 2 weeks in order to close their new property and move out before you take possession and move your stuff in. So if you're willing to work with the seller and you can figure out that their needs and their wants, it's going to go a long way in negotiations. They're going to feel better about giving you a better deal price-wise on the home if you're willing to work with what they need. All right, so here is another thing you need to keep in mind, and they're called concessions. Take advantage of concessions from the seller. This means getting money back from the seller instead of repairs. A well-informed buyer will have a home inspection, and what you're going to find on a home inspection will be issues like HVAC issues, that's heating and air conditioning, foundation, roof repair, plumbing or electrical, okay? So take these concessions, get cash concessions from a seller, which ultimately lowers the price you're going to pay. So let's talk about the last thing that's maybe the most powerful information that you can know, and it's what I call a hidden concession. Hidden concessions are closing costs. Look, sellers are never surprised when a buyer asks for closing costs. Look, I have seen time and time and time again, sellers almost don't pay attention to closing costs. They act like they don't exist, which is crazy. But psychologically, they're getting that high price that they're asking for. There's also a great thing about closing costs. It's cash. It means that you don't have to bring $5,000 in this example to closing. That's $5,000 you can put in your pocket to repaint, put in granite, put in new flooring, whatever you want to do. So I hope that these tips have been helpful because they really are the best way to negotiate the price of a home, and they're really powerful. These are things that I have learned in the last 15 years of doing this, and I've put together an article. I'll link to it. You can check that out. It goes into more detail and more depth, but take these tools, use them to negotiate. I promise this is the best way to negotiate for that house you want. If I can be of any assistance, let me know. My direct number, 972-342-0000.